Some of you guys definitely need this video, and if you do, you know who you are. So without further ado, here are the do's and don'ts of giving criticism. Real quick before we start, there's definitely a fly in my room, so ignore that. I can't kill him, he's too fast. So basically, giving criticism is definitely an art form, and I have a lot to say when it comes to this topic because, you know, like anyone, I get criticized, especially when I start doing stuff like this. When I put myself out there, that's when you start getting criticized. And you know what they say, if no one is criticizing you, you're doing something wrong. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Keep at the back of your head, always be conscious of that. So here are some do's and don'ts. So first off, I just want to give a little side note. So the other day I was talking to one of my friends and I mentioned something that was maybe not my strongest point. Like I was a bit vulnerable in the moment, and instead of being understanding, he right away started criticizing me on every single thing, especially my YouTube channel. He started roasting me on it, telling me it's no good. You guys never ever do that. When someone is trying to be real with you, that is not the time to bash their head in. Like I don't even understand why I need to say this, but that's my little rant for today, and that's kind of what inspired this video. But definitely never do that. Like when someone is either in a vulnerable state or a state of vulnerability or is in a state of celebration, don't knock them down. That's super selfish. You can always tell them what you think when they are in a normal state and when you're having a friendly conversation. So now on to the actual do's and don'ts of criticism. I'm kind of going off the top of my head as usual. Unscripted is the way we go with these videos. But the first thing that you don't want to do is you definitely don't want to be a pushover. You don't want to be that person who, no matter what I do, for example, you're just going to say I'm right. I have one friend like that, or one ex-friend, I guess you can say, like that. And it feels good, right? It feels good to be validated, but at the same time, there's very little that you can grow from someone who's just always going to say you're right. So I would try to limit those people from your life because they usually are the type that are fake. Think about it. If they never state to you what they believe you're doing wrong, they still think it, but it's just brewing in the back of their mind instead of being easily fixed through a simple conversation. And I don't think that that's really the way to go, to be silent about these things. I think that's the wrong way to do it. So definitely don't be a pushover. That's number one. Now number two is, like I said, don't bring people down when they're down. That's silly, because when you're down, you're not going to want someone to just take you down with them. Like, let me explain a little example. If someone is clearly in a bad mood, they're having a bad day, this happens to all of us, no matter how much self-improvement we've done, no matter how much we've worked on ourselves, no matter how much we've achieved our goals, we're always going to have that bad day once in a while, or maybe even a little more frequently than once in a while, depending on what season of our life we're in. So what you don't want to do is, when someone comes to you with this, obviously they trust you, right? If a true friend is coming to you with a feeling that they're not in the best mood, they definitely trust you. But what you don't want to do is just continue their chain of negative thinking. Like if someone says that they don't really see any progress in the gym, tell them to send you a side-by-side of 1 year ago today and right now. And then tell them that you definitely see progress. Because a lot of times when people are in a bad mood or in a bad mental state especially, they start confirming like things that they already thought were true, and they get trapped in their own head. Sometimes you need someone from the outside to be like, hey, I see a lot of gains that you've made in the last year. Like, even look for yourself. And then that person will be like, yeah, I actually do kind of see that now that you pointed it out. I think it's so important to keep people around you that are going to talk you up rather than shitting on you. You don't really want people that will bring you down. The only people who really talk negatively when you're in a bad mood instead of like trying to snap you back to reality. Like one time I asked my friend genuinely if I'm too negative, like overall, and he said sometimes you can be a bit pessimistic, but I know you're a real one because whenever I'm down, you're up and you start lifting me up and snapping me back to reality. That is the kind of feedback you want to receive. You don't want to receive feedback that you're that Debbie Downer that makes them feel even worse about themselves when they're already in a bad mood. It's just not productive, and the only reason why a person would do that to you is either if they A, actually don't like you and are jealous of you, or B, are just that down on themselves that they feel the need to take that out on others. There's pretty much no situation in which someone pulling you down when you're already in a bad state would be a good person. I can't really imagine that. So that's definitely a huge red flag and something that you want to look out for in people. Here's another big one. This is huge. When you give criticism, make sure that you're saying something that's actually constructive. Don't just say you suck like in general. Maybe point out something that they can do better. Make sure that you actually have a idea of something that they can do better that they're not already doing, that maybe they can just easily implement into their craft or whatever it is that you guys are talking about and make it that much better. You know, that type of criticism is amazing. Like, if someone came up to me right now and said, I've been watching all your videos, man, they're great. I love the advice and the content. I just think that with a little B-roll, you could spice up your entire channel and maybe get some more hits. I would say, that's actually a great idea and I probably should start doing that. How much different does that sound than, hey man, your videos are useless and I don't like your channel? What does that want to make me do? That makes me want to block that person and never speak to them again. When's the next time I'm going to hit that person up? Probably not for a very long time. So even if you're right and they actually are wrong, you need to phrase it in a way where they understand that you actually have their best interests at heart. You don't want to get egos involved because that will end friendships. Like, if you really start gunning someone, they're gonna phone. They're gonna tell you to F off. Because why wouldn't they, right? You're coming at them, you probably have no experience in the field, and you are just like projecting a bunch of insecurity at them. Don't put negative ideas in people's heads. I'm sure, I mean, our biggest critics are ourselves, right? Our biggest critics are ourselves. No matter how much those around us can call us out, we ultimately criticize ourselves the most, and that's why criticism hurts so much sometimes, because it sounds like the things that we tell ourselves on a daily basis. That's definitely a big reason why people hate criticism. But you don't want to make someone have more negative thoughts than they already have. You don't want to affirm the negative biases that they already have in their head. I once had a guy tell me that the reason that I couldn't get girls was something about myself that I couldn't control. And, you know, you just don't want to do that, because once that person, here's the most selfish reason why you wouldn't want to do it. Once that person eventually and inevitably escapes that negative loop that you've thrown them in, they're going to realize that you're a terrible person. They're not going to want to talk to you anymore. Like, from the most selfish point of view, that is why you should not throw unnecessary hate towards someone. This honestly all should be self-explanatory. I'm done with today's video. And yeah, guys, I hope you got something out of this, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Adios.